Good evening and welcome to the 17th meeting of fiscal year 2026 for the Milton Planning Board. At this time, I would like to now call the meeting to order and begin with our administrative items. The first item, before I would like to actually go into administrative items, introduce the members of the board and our staff. Jim?
Jim Davis, member.
Maggie Oldfield, member.
Sean Fahey, member.
And Meredith Hall serving as chair. Cheryl cannot be with us this evening, so we will now introduce our staff.
Yeah, Vontae Grady, Assistant Director.
Liz Manning, Planning Director.
Great, thank you. And again, before we just get started here, I just want to just acknowledge that this is Jim Davis's final meeting, and he has been just an incredible member of the board, and we are so incredibly grateful. You jumped in from day one and were so just so thoughtful, and with the questions you asked and your contribution, especially with the challenges of the MBTA zoning and ADU zoning, some of the other things that we've had to work through. So we are just very, very grateful for your service to the town. And I'm sure other members would like to say something as well.
I just want to say thanks. It's been nice serving with you and having you sit next to me, and I'll miss it. But I know I'll see you around town, and I know you'll still remain active and come back anytime, and would just love to have your insight. So don't be a stranger.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and Jim, I think you know how I feel about the time and commitment that this takes for anybody and everybody that does it. And I'll always appreciate what you've committed to the town and to the residents and the service that you've given. It's I think unless someone has run for an election and been elected and been in this position, you really don't know what it's like. And you now do. And I'll always be grateful for what you did. And as far as friendship, you're a new friend for me, but you can't shake me now, buddy.
All right.
People life.
Looking forward to it.
And
Thank you, guys.
yes, at the end, we have a cake
come on.
Sean has brought, and we will have a little celebration post
Oh, wow.
So
All right. Oh, thank you.
and anyone who wants to join us, come.
All right. Well, I got an interesting thing this week, actually, and the timing couldn't be better. So I just want to share something that a Milton High School student dropped off at my house. It's interesting. Jim Davis, you've brightened my day. Of course, that's the Hallmark card. The National Honor Society at Milton High School is doing an initiative to thank volunteers in the Milton community. I wanted to thank you for your time on the planning board. I just recently had an extensive unit about zoning in my law class, and I got to learn a lot about how important it is for our town to have a planning board. Thank you for your time and dedication to our town. I'm not going to say the student's name, but I thought that was very nice.
Very cool.
And it made me realize, we're a planning board, we're tied up in our business, but there's a lot of people watching us. Sometimes it's the Facebook crowd waiting for us to make a mistake. But I'm thinking more often than not, it's citizens who are concerned, citizens' children, kids in school, high school kids, looking for maybe information on a project or just wanting to know how their town runs. And I think it's important to just be sort of true to the position. Your word is your badge. If you're going to do something, which I think we all, for the most part, do, keep it on the up and up, keep it civil, be here sort of as leaders of the town, because that's what people elected us to be. And I think one of the things that I'm taking away from the planning board is just that. Your reputation is sort of your word, and when you're on a board like this and there's all the discussion and all the research and all the time that goes into it, keep everything on the level, keep everything at the meetings, and I think a better result will come of whatever we do because of that. So I have to thank the person who sent me that. He delivered it, actually, so.
Well, it's well deserved. Yes.
Thank you.
Very true. So, great. Well, we're gonna miss you.
All right.
But now moving onward, we are, there's 4 sets of minutes, which Cheryl has edited. They were back some October 9th, October 27th, October 23rd, and November 13th. They didn't get uploaded, so they're very dense. There's a lot of stuff that was covered in these. And so I've had a chance to look through most of it, but I'm assuming that because Cheryl had sent them to me when she had sent them earlier in the week, that others have not had a chance to. And I just wanted to give everybody a chance to review them if they haven't. If you have, that's great, but just thoughts by the board, because we can defer them.
I'd like to defer them. I didn't see them until just an hour ago. Rather defer them.
Yep,
All right,
no
yeah, that's
problem.
great, and it'll be good to take a look through everything and just make sure there's nothing that we want to maintain in there. So we will defer the minutes to our next meeting, which will be May 14th, our regular scheduled meetings. In May will be May 14th and May 28th. And let's see, staff update.
Did you want to talk about
Sorry.
town meeting, posting for town
Oh,
meeting?
yes, I'm sorry. In the posting for town meeting, we have our upcoming town meeting. Thank you. Will be May 6th, which is a Wednesday start date. And we're gonna have a pre-meeting, the town meeting starts at 7:30. And we're gonna schedule just a half an hour pre-meetings in case there's anything that we need to discuss prior. So we'll get the room reserved at the high school. And so we'll have a meeting at 7 PM. Planning board for this, I think for the 6th and 7th. And then if, hopefully we won't need to, but we might need to go into that next Monday
Okay,
for those first 3 nights.
Okay.
Great, thank you. And then now we can do staff update. Do you wanna kick off?
Sure. So the climate action plan, we're still waiting on the grant, but just wanted to give a brief update related to it. Kai Mueller, he's looking to hire a fellow through the UMass Lowell Clean Energy Legacy Transition Program. They're gonna work about 20 hours between Randolph and Milton. In relation to the planning department, Liz has kind of discussed with Kai that she's able to, have us do 3 hours a week with the fellow to support finishing the climate action plan. So, but yeah, I think that was like April 17th, that application for the fellow. So yeah, that was just a little update there. And then next, the open space and recreation plan. I've been working on a lot of different things to get the first deliverables for that going. One of them being the pop-up for the food pantry. That's gonna be on May 16th. So, and then the other one is the youth focus group. That's taken a little bit more time to arrange. I talked to Rachel from the Milton task force, and I learned that they're not quite a very active group, so I'm kind of rethinking that approach. I've got a few contacts that I'm looking into that I got from Bonnie from the Parks Department about how I could get that youth engagement, because I do think it's really important, because it is a gap in previous engagement events, not only for this plan, but for the recreational master plan. So looking into that, trying to make sure I do that right. And then the ADA self-evaluation and transition plan, I'm getting feedback from both Concom and the Parks Department, both of which I should be getting tomorrow. From there, I can pass it on to Nick and the Commission on Disability to have them review that. But yeah, feel free to look at the memo that Craig put together for the Open Space and Recreation Planning Committee for more details, and feel free to ask me any questions. So
Yes, can I ask a question about that?
sure.
So I was reading through, and 2 things actually. One comment was I didn't see that the our land up at Granite Links was in it. So I'm not sure if it listed some properties that are being looked at, but I don't want us to forget that the town of Milton owns, rented out or leased out land to Granite Links Golf Course. And so we do own, it was supposed to be a 9-hole golf course, but I believe there's only 8 holes, unfortunately. So, but that should be included in the plan. And then just one other thing, when I was looking through your outreach, I saw that a group called Connect Milton was highlighted as a focus group. And I just wanted to say, I have a few concerns about including Connect Milton in the official outreach list, because it's my understanding that Connect Milton is it's funded by an out-of-state organization in California, and it has, it's a political focus to the group. And I feel like I'm not comfortable that we're just reaching out to one particular group. If we're gonna reach out to that one group, then we should be reaching out to other groups in town. So my primary concern is just being fair. It doesn't seem right to give one specific group, official priority or access. And I just want to make sure that all the voices who actually live in Milton have a voice in Milton, and it's not funded by any out of state or out of town group. And I like Connect Milton. Full disclosure, I've hoping to put some literature about my business in their packages. So I'm not saying they're not a worthy group to talk to, but I just think you're opening a can of worms when you're only reaching out to one group in town. So I would just caution that.
So for that particular focus, for that focus area, maybe think about including a couple of other organizations that are sort of focused on like civic engagement.
Yep.
So maybe like League of Women Voters, like I don't know, is there like are there a couple of like maybe sort of like civic groups that might come to mind? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, or other, I think they're funded by a 501(c)(3) or
501(c)(3).
So perhaps it's other nonprofits
Okay, okay.
who have some of those.
Okay.
So I don't know, I could give you the list. I know that there's a couple other groups in town that maybe might want to have a voice at the table. So I just wouldn't want to limit it to one group that it just, I think, might have a certain political leaning.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and I'm definitely open to any recommendations you have. I think that came to mind because we went to the like library event and it was kind of a big turnout there, and they seemed to be like, I don't know, my impression was like community like focused. However, I have only been to like one of their meetings, and on their website they say they're like dedicated to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So those were some things, but obviously want to be sensitive to the community and make sure that their values are reflected in this work. So definitely open to any suggestions you have.
Very good. All right, so Shared Supporting Housing Office, we've been working with our consultants at Accenture to stay on top of the process for 440 Granite for ensuring that those affordable units are qualified for the supportive subsidized housing inventory. They've submitted a draft affordable fair housing marketing plan, and we're awaiting additional documents about for the homeowners association and et cetera. So we're also working with the folks at Accenture on closeout items for 936 Brush Hill Road, and in contact with the building commissioner on that. He wants to make sure we've got everything we need before any certificates of occupancy are issued there. Traffic Commission met on April 14th, and it was Marina Fernandez's final meeting, so there was a really busy agenda. We covered our Vision Zero walk audit that took place at the Granite Ave and West Squantum intersection all the way up to the Quincy line by the President's Golf Course. There was a discussion about crosswalk in the vicinity of the Eustis Estate, which I believe has been tabled for the time being. Traffic calming master plan was also discussed. Let's see, there was a Mass Dot project at Brush Hill Road and Milton Street for a four-way stop sign. There were a couple of different folks on the citizens speak, folks from Sias Lane, Adams and Squantum intersection. Citizen request for parking restrictions on Crown Street because of the really difficult winter with the snow and ice. And also a talk about a pilot for restricted parking in the wintertime to facilitate snow and ice removal. So a lot happening. And so I think Marina's final day is May 8th. And so the next commission meeting will be headed by the new DPW director. So any questions on that? So housing production plans. So Avanti and I have had a coordination call with Karen Sonneborg in late March. And she gave us some feedback about different ideas for, people to participate on this advisory group. Things like council on aging perhaps, if the planning board was interested in designating somebody from that stakeholder group, housing authority, sort of blanking on what somebody, CPC, zoning board, a lot of different ideas about different, stakeholders that might make sense to participate in this advisory group. I know that I didn't get this until today, apologies. So this was on this charge was on the select board's agenda on 4/14. I'll just hand this around. Have you folks seen this?
I did watch the meeting, but I was sort of unclear. They were.
I think the
ended up landing.
I suppose I could just sort of read this out,
Yeah.
if that's helpful. Housing Production Plan Advisory Committee, charged to facilitate the creation of the town's housing production plan in coordination with the town's consultant and to monitor the implementation of the housing production plan upon completion and approval by the Commonwealth of Mass. Membership, at least 6 members appointed as follows: 2 members Affordable Housing Trust, 2 members Select Board, 2 members Planning Board. Term, members shall be appointed for a term of 1 year concurrent with the town's fiscal year. The CAPC shall determine a chair. And recording secretary annually, members shall be eligible for reappointment. So I think the way it was left on the 14th, because I actually went and looked, watched the meeting, I think really where it stands is needing to determine if the seats are going to be actual planning board members, the 2 seats are planning board members, or does the planning board choose to have it be a designee? So it's sort of like back to you guys if you wanna have it be specifically planning board members, or if you'd like to have it be a designee. And I think it's probably, if you choose to have a designee, but then if the Affordable Housing Trust wants to have two of their members, I don't think there's anything in here that says you can't do it that way. So it's really kind of up to you folks, like what you're comfortable with.
So they're definitely wanting to form another committee, because I think I had brought up a concern that, we have 90 committees in town and we have too many committees, and do we really need an official committee, and is that going to hinder the progress? Because even when I was reviewing some of these minutes, we were talking about this housing production plan all the way back in October. So here we are, however many 6 months later, and we still haven't done anything, and our housing production plan is expired. And because we have an expired housing production plan, we run the risk of another 40B coming in.
Right.
And to me, it seems like there's not any sense of urgency to get this housing production plan wrapped up. And I'm not understanding why there isn't a sense of urgency about it. And I think creating another committee is just another hurdle to the process, and it puts us at risk. So I'm not trying to exclude anybody, and I think the selectmen have their meeting, we have our meeting, the Affordable Housing Trust have their meeting, and anybody from any group, Council on Aging, could come to any one of our meetings, come to all three, they could participate in the process, and then we can move the ball down the court.
Well, so, yeah, it's probably slower than people want it to be, but, you know, we had to solicit proposals, we had to get the funding lined up, and we had to get the contract signed. So that's all been completed. And the next step would be some of the, you know, sort of existing conditions analysis that the consultant can move forward with. So that can start going, the conversation I had with Karen Sonneborg was that she could still meet the deadline that she gave us in the scope, even if it took a little bit of time to get this committee, you know, organized. So I think we are gonna be able to make some progress on it even in the short term. I think it would be hard for her not to have a dedicated committee though, right? In terms of like her time, because she needs to be able to just kind of like, she's gotta come in and she's gotta sort of like bang out, you know, a list of items with a dedicated group that's been on it,
Right.
right? You know, from, you know, and even as a subset of you folks, right? Because a couple of you will be potentially be, you know, following it like a lot more closely. So I think this is sort of the compromise, you know.
I think they were wanting to have, you know, a committee that would meet and be able to give input and feedback, like Liz said. What I'm thinking, is that we can sort of think about this, who would wanna be on it. I do feel like at least we should have at least one planning board member because we're so familiar with the projects. Obviously, Liz can give input, you know, and Avante as well and feedback, but it would make sense to have at least one member of the planning board, possibly two. But we could maybe discuss that when we have our next meeting, when we have our new members. I know who our members are. Does that make sense? And we can think about possible people that we would wanna appoint.
I think we should have the latitude to choose either a designee or a member. Reading those notes that we'll discuss 414 determine the seats are for members, either the designee or both. I think it really shouldn't say or both, it should say or either, you know. But I think we should have the latitude and, you know, I think a little bit, maybe it should be at least one member of the planning board and potentially a designee. Put assignment for Jim, he's got free time now. What are you gonna do with all your time?
That's true.
Better be a really good kid.
That's true.
You gotta get through the meeting to have the cake. Can't leave early. I just wanna ask, is that correct though, that last sentence, the CAPC is determining the chair? Is that a typo or is that?
I think that must be a typo. I pulled this down from the select board packet.
Okay, so it would be
yeah.
the Housing Production Plan Advisory Committee
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
gonna.
HPPAC.
HP.
Yeah, that's probably the Climate Action Planning Committee, right? CAPC?
That came to mind, I was like,
Yeah.
And I thought there had been some discussion about adding one additional member at large to make it a 7-member.
Yeah, and that just sort of, and I think, and as I watched it, I think that whatever the motion was for that just was withdrawn or it just that, so I think that's kind of.
Discussed, but it didn't.
Yeah, and I don't know, I think the concern was about a tie vote, but this is an advisory committee, I don't know that that's really gonna be as much, I don't think that's a real huge issue.
Is it, well, would you be a participant in this group at all?
I'm ex officio for like the traffic, no, for the sign review committee, ex officio. So maybe, I mean, we're definitely gonna be staffing it, like staff wise, like with the consultant, like, so we're gonna be in the mix for sure.
Yeah.
But in terms of a vote, yeah, I don't know.
Well, there's a really good template that's in place right now that fortunately, the consultant who's going to be doing the updating in the new plan did the last plan. So she's familiar with the community, which is really gonna be helpful. I'm so glad we were able to get her on board. So at the next meeting, I think we'll pick this up and put that on the agenda for the May 14th meeting.
Okay, so nothing really to report on the library parking forum. I'm still working on putting some comments together for you folks, so to get that over to the trustees and make sure your comments are on the record on that and you desire to continue to participate in the RFP creation.
Can I, is it okay, can I comment on just one thing on this? I know on the plan that we looked at, it referenced the area in front of the police station, the lawn area, the grass area, as being too far away. That's how I recall it being referenced. I walked that distance and measured it from where that grass area is to what we call powder house, the small structure. The distance from the powder house, which is where the proposed to that grass area, is 1/10 of a mile. 1/10 of a mile. To me, 1/10 of a mile is a very short distance to be able to take advantage of property that we've developed, that we could create potential parking. And furthermore, the other side of the parking at the police station, between the police parking lot and the hospital property, is viable land. So again, just coming back to it, since it's in your notes, Liz, it is 1/10 of a mile. That's a short distance to me.
Even the library staff could park there, and that would free up spots.
Yeah, we could, just mention it.
If we're gonna build it, I know a lot of towns are now going to public safety buildings. So I don't know if the police station is maxed out, I know we're building fire stations, but it might be an opportunity to do something with an overall public safety building. Roll into something, if it's gonna be bigger, as opposed to apartments on the second and third, or third and fourth floor.
I'm sure that many people pass by that police station parking lot more often than I do. The police have their own parking behind the fenced area. The front area is for a visitor to the police station. So that's the area that I'm
Or
referring
you
to.
said just use the police parking lot,
Well,
or peek over the grass.
create parking beyond it,
Okay.
but it generally is lightly used. I mean, on occasion you'll see a car there, very, very rarely, but the police need their parking. I'm sure our chief would say, no, I have to have my parking, but I'm talking about expanding beyond what is there to create additional parking so that we could provide.
I missed it, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That makes the most sense.
And again, I'm referring back to the plan where it said it was too far. I can't see 1/10 of a mile from the proposed area to the police station as being a barrier based on distance.
Great idea.
All right, so if you were following the select board's meeting on the 14th, then you saw that they had voted to issue the Milton Fire Station RFP. And I had a quick chat with Nick Milano today, and I believe it is in front of town council before it gets issued. So that's where it stands.
Is there a deadline on that response?
I didn't see a deadline
I
in
don't
the
understand.
draft that was in their packet. I don't know if that's gonna get inserted. They'll probably be inserted once the town council review is complete. Yeah.
So I watched that meeting because I was really interested to see what their comments were on our comments. So at our meeting, we spent a considerable amount of time talking about this. Our town staff spent time creating our memo, and it wasn't even mentioned. They didn't reference our memo, they didn't discuss our memo, and there was I was a little bit shocked that they didn't take into consideration any of our comments. And that was frustrating to me because one of the reasons, we have this budget coordination committee meeting was on day one, it was to facilitate dialogue and collaboration between boards. And I know this topic doesn't necessarily have anything to do with budgets, but it's all about collaboration. And again, I feel like there was not any collaboration given or, and I was just frustrated. And even in the Milton Times today, there was no mention. They mentioned our meeting, which was the week prior, but they didn't mention anything about our memo. So that's frustrating to me. So I'm wondering why Nick didn't bring it up. Did he say why he didn't bring it up?
I honestly, we had a very quick conversation and I think there was a consensus that I think the main question I think was on the, not selling the property, right? And I think maybe the consensus for the board, I can't speak for the board, was that they wanted to proceed with their original,
Yeah, but they didn't even say that at their meeting. They didn't say, what's the consensus of the board? They just said, oh, let's just go ahead with the RFP that was written. So they wrote the RFP, we commented on it. Our comments went back, disregarded, and how they entered into the discussion was, we have our RFP, does anybody want to comment on it? No comments, so they just put it forward. So to me, that was just really disappointing.
Be interesting to see what comes back from that. Yeah. All right.
and then language access plan.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to touch up briefly on this. So I've been in contact with Sasha Brody from MAPC. They've been working on the Three Rivers Interlocal Council expanding language access project, which is apparently in its final stages. I kind of reached out to her just to be like, oh, like, what's going on with this project? Is there any way I can support it? And she's like, oh yeah, it's basically almost done. We're just basically now doing some sort of like test activity or pilot activity in the participating communities, to just kind of have lessons learned, try things out. So I've been kind of working with her and she's been providing me guidance on the food pantry pop-up and how to best approach that. She has had experience there, so it's been great to get her feedback. So on how to best provide language access, because that's a spot in town that has like multiple languages that you can find spoken there. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to just seeing what we learned from that experience and having that feed into like her project too, which I think will ultimately result in a report that like details language access needs for Milton, for a couple other towns. So yeah.
Is one of the language that they're looking at is sign language?
It's a good question.
No, I'm sensitive to that. I had a sister with special needs. I have a niece with Down syndrome, and I know there were a lot of kids in town and families in town who have disabilities. So I've seen a lot of people doing sign language.
That's a good question. I'm more than happy to look into that and see, yeah, because I think it should definitely be included. Yeah, I'll definitely follow up on this.
Excellent point. Okay, that's it.
Back to comments. I believe that the residents of the town expect. John, I can't hear you at all.
We just speak a little louder.
What's the nearest mic?
Oh, it's right up there. It picks up everything in the room. It's just very quiet, that's all.
Okay, all right,
Sure,
thank you, thank you. Jim, did you hear me?
I heard you, I got you. Yeah.
Okay, good, I wanna make sure, that's really important.
Talk to the man upstairs.
It's really
Just look
important.
up when you're talking.
But I believe that the residents of the town expect a professional collaboration between all of the boards in town. And, you know, there may be differences of opinion between elected board members of one board or the other. And I think what we find disappointing is that not even a recognition that comments had been received from what I would consider, you know, a fellow board or a sister board in the town. You know, the select board doesn't have to agree with the planning board, and nor does the planning board have to agree with the select board, and nor do I have to agree with you, or do you have to agree with me. But, you know, the purpose of the boards is to look after the interests of the town and the residents of the town. It's not the planning board's town, and it's not the select board's town, it's the town of the residents. And I think the frustration that you feel, I recognize, because just to receive due consideration for the input that's provided by our board is really all you're asking for. We don't have to receive support of our view, or you don't have to receive support of your point of view. You'd probably prefer that, but at least that input was received, our input was considered, and the select board is moving forward in whatever direction they're moving forward in. I don't think that's a big ask, and nor do I think that would be a big ask of our board to offer the exact same thing to the select board or any other elected board in town. And the bottom line is, we serve the interests of the residents, no matter what board we serve on or what the charge is of the specific board. This is only for the residents of the town. And the obligation that we have is to do what's best in the interest of the residents. That's it. So I understand your frustration, and I think it's fair. I think you deserve to be frustrated.
Thank you.
And I had just one item that if we could, we don't need to report on currently, but I was reached out today by a writer for the Milton Times, and they are asking what information that I had on the $450,000 award Milton received through the EOED for an upcoming story that they're working on for the Milton Times. The money will be used, his understanding, along Mechanic Street and Franklin Street to help accommodate the 2 new housing developments. He asked what exactly is being done there. What projects do you see down the road for Milton? Some residents feel nervous about changes in the new development that comes with being designated a rapid transit community, that Milton may become too congested or lose its calm residential character. Asking about that. And in the past, Milton has struggled to find an agreement, just asking about MBT zonings and what we would find is challenging. I guess what I have asked him to do is to reach out to Nick Milano on the grant. We don't have to talk about it tonight, but maybe we could have an update report for the residents, because clearly people are hearing about the grant, but they don't know what's happening with it and what work is gonna be done in that area. And I think East Milton, given the level of construction, is very sensitive about understanding what new proposals to road work or streetscapes or what exactly is happening there. So maybe for our next meeting, if we could just put that on the agenda. And I did refer this writer to maybe reach out to Nick and get them an update.
Yeah.
Good, I just wanted to.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, have an update
hopefully
on
it's some
that.
good things that'll be happening, and that's a nice sized grant, so that's great. Good, all right, so the next item is our citizen speak. If
See if we've got
public
anybody-
comment, if there's anybody online who would like to speak.
I don't see anybody with their hands up. So I think we're okay.
Okay. Then we can move to our next item, number 4, A&R plan application, 120 Highland Street, map J1, lot 2. We can bring in the engineers, and I don't know if the owner of the property is on as well.
Do you want me, I can, the applicant is here.
Okay.
Jim, did you want me to promote the Corcorans?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I mean, it's just an A&R, so I didn't know if you had any questions. And
Yeah, Liz, if you wanna tee this up and.
Sure, absolutely. So you folks received in your packet the copy of the application, stamped into the clerk's office. I did the A&R checklist and indicated that everything that was required to be on the plan is on there. The application indicates that each lot has adequate frontage on an existing approved way in the town of Milton, which I confirmed, and I also, understand that this was a plan that the board signed less than a year ago, Jim? For the
about a
same-
year ago, yeah,
The same property?
same property.
Yep, same property. So do you wanna just explain quickly to them why this needs to has been resubmitted?
Sure. My clients, the Cochrans, are potentially purchasing the property or have it under agreement. And when we were looking at the plan to, put houses on it and so on and so forth, we noticed some issues with the existing plan, both technically and that would work with the houses that they wanted to put on the property. So we re-subdivided the land and, so that it would fit the houses that they're planning on building. That's pretty much it. It's virtually the same plan with some minor modifications and corrections to the property line.
Can you just point those out real quick? The minor modifications to the property line? Like, is it this little 20-foot dash that goes?
Well, the minor modifications are on lot A and B, the frontage along Highland Street shortened. It was the previous survey had it about a foot longer, and we found that to be not correct. And the property itself twisted when we held the monumentation that they found, the previous surveyor found, and we found. And then the other thing too is one thing that they put on there is they put the setback for the side and the rear, I believe incorrectly, because on Spafford Road for Lot A, that doesn't have adequate frontage for the zone that it's in. So the actual frontage for Lot A is Highland Street, so the rear yard would be abutting Lot B. So there we go.
Good, thank you.
Trying to position this better. Sorry, guys. Is that better? Does that help?
Zoom in a little bit more, maybe.
Sure. Okay.
Jim, did the updated plan change the square footage of either of the lots?
Yes, it did. It reduced the total lot area because the distance between Stafford Road and the property line that heading towards the Hooper Burdick property reduced by about a foot.
I see, okay. So Jim, was it a result of a survey that might not have been correct?
Yes, there were issues with the survey prior.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions?
I'm good with it. Looks like they have the frontage and they have the lot size.
Jim, one question, that 10-foot sewer easement, I suppose it's a bit of a restriction on lot B, right? Because what will that restrict them from? You can't build over it, correct?
Well, that's the side yard for lot B, so we couldn't build on it anyway.
Yeah.
So it
Right.
doesn't really do anything. What we found during our research was that the sewer easement shows up on the town records, the assessor's map, and in an as-built plan done in like in the year 2000 or whatever. But it's not in the title, so that's an issue that's got to be fixed.
I see.
But it doesn't do anything to the lot because we can't build within that 10-foot side yard requirement anyway.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm good.
So I don't have any questions, but I just would like to disclose that I hope, all elected officials make disclosures, but that my son and daughter played hockey with Maeve Corcoran, and her family is an infrequent customer of mine. And even though every customer is important, they are not a significant client to mine. So based on ethic guidelines, I'm confident in my ability to remain objective and evaluate this matter impartially.
Thank you.
Well said.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the current A&R before us at 120 Highland Street, map J, lot 2.
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Can I sign them after or
Sign, yeah. we'll
after?
sign.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Take it away from the cake.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, and item number 5, for annual town meeting, our article, sign bylaw. Liz, do you wanna take this? Just, we keep it on the
Sure.
agenda in case there's anything that comes up and.
So very, very minor amendment, which is in your packet. And again, same issue I had, it didn't sync properly, so I don't know who saw it when. So I have a hard copy for you. It's just this tiny amendment to enable the building commissioner additional time to review the sign permit application before it gets submitted to the sign review committee. I doubled back with John Zikowitz about this, and he was fine with it. He thought it made sense to give the building commissioner ample time to do what he needs to do. So, and this was the request of the building commissioner. I also ran this format past Carolyn Murray as well, to make sure that it was drafted properly. So she didn't have any concerns. It potentially could get sort of wordsmithed though, maybe between now and sort of when it goes on like a green sheet. Is that the process? So if you are to take a vote, maybe just kind of a little bit of flexibility if a little bit of this, to see if the town stuff and whatnot has to be kind of wordsmithed a little bit. Okay,
So that'll go back to Carolyn prior to it going to the warrant committee.
she has seen this, but I
Yeah.
can, I can send it back to her again prior to it going to the warrant committee. She's reviewed it, but I can definitely do that before it goes to them.
Okay, because, and we were talking about this, that, who would prepare the green sheet for this?
this is like, I'm learning. I'm learning. So I'm happy to have, is it typically?
I just wanna make sure that
Town
what, if we
council, or
do
is
do
it-
the green sheet, that
Okay,
like any changes that are made that would be done before the green sheet.
got it.
would be done.
So as long as I know sort of like who's supposed to do what at different parts of the process, I'll make sure that happens, but I'm looking for
Okay.
I'm looking for guidance. So if you guys
Yep.
have, wanna give me some feedback on it, or I'd be happy to turn to town council on it, whatever. I think because they're new as well, and this is
Yeah.
their second town meeting, right? Cause I think they were here
So
in the
and Sue
fall.
Galvin in the clerk's office would be able to,
Okay,
because they distribute them.
okay,
So they'll know if they're printing them or if somebody else is.
okay,
Um,
all right.
But I'm comfortable, supporting this change. The building commissioner has asked for a 7 to 30 days. So I think if we approve that, the language from 7 days to 30 days, and trust, Carolyn to put it in.
Format,
The
the
correct
the
format.
correct format to, yep, absolutely.
I just have one question on, and I think the document that you've included is, this is great.
Oh,
That you've
good,
given us.
good.
This is gonna be so helpful in town meeting.
Yeah.
My only question was, in the sign review process,
Mhm.
will we be adding the 30 days? Because we do reference that the sign review committee schedules hearing within 60 days. In the previous block,
Mhm.
right, it does say the building commission certifies materials for completion and forward to sign review committee.
Mhm.
Could we say within 30 days, just so it's right on the process?
Yeah, yep, excellent, yep,
Great point.
definitely.
But you guys did a great job on this. That is so easy now for people to understand. That's fantastic. The whole thing is great.
I can't really take credit for the flow chart, it was Larry Johnson.
Okay, whomever,
Well,
but
and you added pictures,
but everything,
visuals
the
too.
images,
Yeah,
this
okay.
is really, really helpful.
Good.
It just condenses a lot of really difficult narrative to follow.
Mhm.
It's great.
So if folks are good for that, once that change is made, Liz will send it over to the warrant committee and to Nick. But
Mhm.
I wanted her to share it with everybody else first, so.
Right,
Do people feel like they wanna take another look at it, or it's good to send it
To
to her?
go.
Okay.
Good.
Makes good
Yeah.
change.
Is Larry a significant author to this document?
So he produced the first version of that to go to when we sat in front of the warrant committee.
Okay,
And did sort of like the side-by-side
Abbreviated
comparison, which
version.
is super
Yeah.
helpful.
okay.
Especially being, a member of both committees. Like he really, he got it from every angle, so it was really helpful. So what's happened is it went to the warrant committee, it went for your public hearing, it went to the Chamber of Commerce, and now it's going for a town meeting. So every time it's gone, it's sort of gotten a little bit tightened up and a little bit more information, and so, yeah,
Well,
so.
we could express our gratitude to Larry by giving him a piece of Jim's cake. Larry, if you're listening. Assuming we don't need you all.
He's actually a great guy. I know him from Scouts. He's a Scout dad.
Really?
Yeah, so if there's been 3 or 4 iterations of this,
Yeah.
he probably has a couple of hours into this.
Oh, my God.
I wish there was a way we could just thank him at town meeting or just put his
Yeah.
name or
We
just
will
rated by
acknowledge
Larry
that.
Johnson.
We should.
Give
At
him a
town
little
meeting. He deserves
something.
credit, he's put so much work into it. My first time getting to know Larry was through this process. The effort he's put into it and the commitment he makes to the town and to the residents is tremendous.
That's nice,
Well said.
that's nice.
Did you need a
So
vote?
we do need a vote, so we need a motion to.
I'll make a motion to amend Article 42 from 7 days to 30 days.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good, so our building commissioner is working really hard and we don't want to make his life more difficult. Okay, so number 6, the recodification scope of services discussion.
Yes. So, yet again, if anyone needs a hard copy, this is I just kind of did a quick sort of table for myself for how much funding we had available and sort of what was anticipated for each of these different phases for the recodification. So I think 2 meetings ago or 1 meeting ago, we voted to encumber 27,272 of FY '26 planning studies funding for this process. And then there is an anticipated 35,000 in the FY '27. So that brings us a total of 62,272. So the proposal in front of you, the first phase is comes out to 6,800, and it's called an optional zoning audit, so we can talk about that a little bit more when people have more time to kind of think about this and really read through it. My first blush is we probably want to do it, because it's not a huge amount of time. And then phase 2 is a zoning diagnostic. That's when we really get into the nitty-gritty with the different areas of the zoning that need to get sort of tightened up and cleaned up and et cetera. So that is an estimated total of 40 hours. And then she gave us a range on phase 3, which is the drafting of the different zoning amendments. So Carolyn Murray is anticipating anywhere between 60 and 120 hours for that, depending upon the extent to which, different amendments are anticipated. So I included those 2 numbers there as well. So essentially, if we come out on the higher end, we're just a little bit over the 62,000 that's available. It comes out to about 64,600 would be sort of like the top end, depending on how deep things get. It seems, I gave it a really quick look. It came in on Tuesday. It's detailed. It gives us flexibility to determine sort of, areas that need to get covered, sort of how deeply folks want to get into them. Maybe this is a first, maybe this is even this 60,000 could even be sort of like a first phase, and maybe there might even be additional work required beyond that, potentially, I don't know. But it allows that type of flexibility in the approach. So lot to digest, but I think it's a good start,
The question is more focused on how we manage this cost. It's a $20,400 range between the low anticipation for phase 3 and the high anticipation for phase 3. It's just a lot of dollars. So is this work done basically on a time? Are we just paying based on the number of hours that it actually takes? Or what happens if the hours are under or over? And that's such a big delta between the low and the high. We work so hard to get funding for a few $1,000s, and we're looking at a potential swing from low to high of 20,000.
I think she explains that on page 3, where she talks about, what she's characterizing as a repeal and replace, right? So that would be sort of like wholesale, like you take the existing one, you repeal it, and you replace it with just a whole new bylaw, right? Her sense is that that's overwhelming and doesn't necessarily get you where you need to go. So I think she's sort of positioning this so that if we say a first cut at it was focused on a specific topic, like definitions and dimensions, or definitions and allowed uses, or there could be sort of like a focused approach to try to handle some of those things that are problematic. And I think that's probably where you're gonna get into like the 60 as opposed to the 120, and then maybe at a subsequent town meeting, you come back and you take another cut at it. And then you probably would be getting into that other chunk of 60 hours. So But yeah, no, absolutely, it is an estimate, you know, for the reason that it's hard to know going in exactly what the stakeholders are really gonna wanna tackle.
Mhm.
Because some of it has to do with interpretation, some of it has to do with, you know, sort of like how things function, how things function today with the folks that use the document.
Right.
So it's like until you get people in the rooms really talking about it, I mean, I've already had, how many things have come up for us already with zoning? Like like literally daily. Like just questions about sort of like, well, does this apply? Doesn't that apply? And like what exactly does this mean in this circumstance? And that's just us.
Yeah.
Like we're supposed to be kind of like, we're not the zoning board, we're not the building department, we're sort of like a couple levels down.
Yeah.
I mean, even though I know the planning board has the role of draft, you know, drafting zoning and you know, creating zoning. So yeah, yeah, there's gotta be ways to tighten it up for sure, but I think it's also kind of, you know, some of that fuzziness is, you know, I don't know, I understand why there's a little.
Until we get into it, we won't know.
Yeah, so who is going to provide that kind of guidance?
Beyond Carolyn?
Yeah.
So what, so sort of like the town's
Well,
primary person on the project?
yeah, exactly, because I think the way that Carolyn wrote her note here on that particular topic, this particular topic we're talking about, she closes with, you know your town meeting best, so we will work with you to determine the best course of action. That's her last sentence in that phase 3 section. So who is you?
I mean, this is,
Well, it's
this,
addressed
it's
in-
either you,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
either
addressed
you
to
or
both
Nick.
me and Nick, so.
Okay, so the guidance in terms of, I should say, we need to do it right. I'm not suggesting trying to save, you know, dollars and sacrificing what can be the document that we need in the end. So I don't wanna do that, Liz, you know, I was just recognizing a significant difference.
Yeah.
But you know this better than we all do, so there's probably good reason that Carolyn is projecting between 60 and 120 hours, and she can't project any better. So it'll be you and Nick that will, when she has a situation that requires, you know, advice in terms of what we want, it'll be you and Nick that'll make that decision. It's a question, I guess, right?
And it
Yeah,
sounds like at this.
it's a good question.
No. And it sounds like at this point, we don't need to vote to accept to do phase 3 yet. And I think there's gonna be information that comes out of phase 1 and
Phase
phase
two,
2
okay.
that are gonna inform
Yeah,
our
okay.
focus.
Okay,
If that makes sense, cause we will,
Sure.
we'll need to have a focus, cause I wholesale taking up, you know,
Yeah.
zoning, but it is, that, I don't see that happening.
Mhm.
But being able to assess after we do phase 1 and 2,
Mhm.
where we want our focus to be, that maybe will help us to
Okay.
narrow that,
okay,
the number of that. I mean, it still will be a little bit of a variable, but I think we'll be able to target certain areas and
Okay.
say, okay,
great,
And I would assume that the building inspector would be part of it because he's the one
I
who
hope so.
who reads it every day and applies
Totally.
for it, you know, applies it to projects.
absolutely.
So I would think that you would start with him and he would say, this is what needs to get fixed immediately.
I would love to have him be like a big part of this. I hate to sort of like volunteer anybody to be like a project manager. So I'm just trying to be sensitive to that, but he's definitely like the key person. The Board of Appeals for sure. And Michael and Nick as well, because he deals with this stuff all the time as well. That the phone calls will go to the select board's office too, you know, hey, I wanna run a 24-hour convenience store, can I? And you know, just constant, that type of stuff. So it's
But I feel like in my opinion, it all goes to the building inspector first. And then he might say, I don't know, but he gets all the phone calls first. And then it only goes to the ZBA once he denies an application. So he has to put in a lot of man hours walking through, you know, the process with a resident before they even fill out an application. So he would probably know how to make it that first step easier.
Yeah. I know he's already got like a really lengthy list of things that he's already had issues with since he's been here. So he's got a list. I believe there was a list from when they converted to the E-code, that company, that group had already sort of identified like some of the internal inconsistencies and problems where it wasn't current with like state law. So there's that document as well. So that was why she had kind of said that zoning audit at the outset is optional, because some of this work has been done. But, you know, I think the thing that really stuck out to me was, you know, sort of like this issue of like interpretation and what have you. Like, I think having different, you know, you've got different people in the mix now than you did when that recodification was going on, I think in like 2021 maybe, something like that. So that's why I'm kind of feeling like that phase one is probably worthwhile. It's
100%.
probably worth the money. Even though she's, you know, she's saying you could choose to do without it. But that's where she's talking about the, you know, the stakeholders, the you know, concerns relative to interpretation and enforcement, because those are really, really important. Those are really two key principles right there, is interpretation and enforcement.
Yeah, it should not be optional. That should be required.
Mhm.
And, you know, what that reads is that there'll be 2 working sessions, which the building commissioner is going to be a part of. She
Mhm.
wants that. I think that's a must. It'd be crazy not to do that. So,
Okay,
that's my opinion.
Right.
good.
Well, I would say, I don't know how soon she's ready to start, ready to begin on this.
I just need to get
How soon
the
should we
funding
be taking a
encumbered.
vote, at least on phase one, you know, because I think it even says phase two is informed by phase one. So it almost would be like you could do
If-
one step at a time,
Well,
or phase one and two.
Dive into 1 and 2 personally.
I feel that way too, Jim. I kind of feel like we should authorize 1 and 2 together.
That's not going to encumber all our funds, though, that's the only thing.
So we should, so what's your?
I need to, if it's, I think the planning studies is use it or lose it. So I need to encumber 27-2 before June 30. So would you guys be comfortable encumbering up to that number for phase 1 and 2, and then partial
Partial of
phase
3?
3? If that's how Nick wants to put the contract together, I don't necessarily do the contract. I just wanna make sure I get that encumbered.
Can we have a general vote we voted to encumber the 272
Or
already.
recodification.
For recodification.
Right.
So perhaps we can keep that general. Move forward with phase 1 and 2, and then determine how we want to apply it to phase 3. When we get to that point.
Or,
I don't know.
would you consider this, Meredith? Would you consider approving enough to accomplish the low total of the 44.2? And we don't know yet. Carolyn presents that as being the low total, or we're interpreting as the low total. We approve the low total until we know that we need to spend more, and then consider approving additional funds.
Yeah.
That
That would
way,
make sense.
that way at least we're not doing it one step at a time, where we'll do it in a comprehensive approval.
Yep.
So, and I think at that point, if we need a second approval, at that point, we should know how much more we need. You know, Carolyn at that point might be able to say, hey, here's what I think you need. Either that full
So
additional
vote the
60
44,
right,
doing that.
the low total of
Yep.
Okay.
approve the 44.2.
That works.
So we don't lose momentum.
Right.
No.
Right. And at the same time, I think we are being responsible. We shouldn't approve something that we don't know that we need, which is the second 20,000. You know, we may need it, but I don't think we should approve it if we don't definitively know that we need it.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna agree with that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, good start.
Alright, so we should take a vote on that. If I could have a motion. Right.
So it's that we need a motion to encumber the 44-2.
That we are voting
Or did we already we already made a motion for 27?
to encumber that money.
Right,
This is a vote, yeah, sorry.
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say.
So is it the difference between 44-2 and 27? Or is it the total?
No, so do you want me to try to
Yeah,
walk
you
through
go
it?
ahead, yeah.
So the 35,000 that's shown here as FY 27 planning studies, that has to be voted at town meeting, right? So I'm sorry,
Subject
guys.
to-
I'm sorry, guys, I'm
subject to
so
approval at town
rusty.
meeting.
I'm so rusty.
Yeah.
If that vote goes through, then this money, I think in theory is available. So I believe that we'd be able to sign a contract that would get you up to that 44-2. So that will encumber the FY 26 money, and then the balance will come out of that 35 that gets voted at town meeting. I think that's how it can work. I think the contract can get signed once that vote goes through. I don't know, and the money, the 27 and change will be available before June 30, and then the balance probably won't be available until after July 1. So I think the vote is to move forward with a contract for the 44-2,
Codification.
for the recodification.
That's why I think that's all we
Yeah.
need to.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to move forward with the recodification in the amount of 44,200.
Is there a second? Yep, all in favor? Aye.
Okay, great.
It's gonna be so great to have them working on it in-house. So that being the last item on our agenda, if there is anything else and if there's anything else that anyone wants on a future agenda, please reach out to Liz or myself. But with that, we will conclude Jim's last final meeting. Would you like to make the motion to adjourn,
I'll make a
Jim?
motion to adjourn my last meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you all. Good evening.
Thank you.